Hey, this is JD and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be disassembling a Valjoux 7750. Very complicated chronograph watch, very complicated. Doing this for a friend, Bill, and I'm going to see if I can do this without flinging any parts or flinging any springs. This will be an incredible adventure for me because I'm not tired yet, but I will be when I'm finished this. Anyway, thanks for watching my channel. Please subscribe. And if you need any pocket watch work done, get a hold of me and I'll do it for you. Just get a hold of me. If you're in Canada, it's better. If you're in the US, we could try to figure something out. But anyway, JD here, and I hope you enjoy this very detailed video. Hey there, this is JD. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be stripping down a Tag Heuer Aqua Racer automatic, and really what we're stripping down here, let me turn this around nicely, is a 7750 Valjoux, V-A-L-G-J-O-U-X 7750 movement. And the first thing I want to do here, this is a brand new soft pad here that I just installed on my desk, and the first thing to do here is actually to take off the weight, which is the oscillating rotor. So we'll remove that, and I'm going to have to get deep and dirty and in close here for this video because it's been a while since I did watch work, and I want to be very careful in doing this work. So I just take this rotor and pick it up just like this. So there we go. That is officially removed. Now I did notice with this movement that there is a retaining ring here, and on this side here there's a clip for the retaining ring. On this side here the clip is missing, and I think it's floating around in the watch somewhere, so I need to remove the screw for the retaining ring here. Just get in here nice and close and get that removed. Work is being done for a friend. It's my friend Bill. So how you doing there, Bill? And this is it should really be on my watch, my portable watch, what do we call it, a desk or something. Before I take this retaining ring off here, I want to remove this is a screw down crown. And I think all I do here is press this button down and that crown will come out. I'm pretty sure that's all I do. There we go. The crown is out. Now the ring needs to come out. Now I'm not sure if this ring comes straight out or I can, prise it out. There we go. The ring is out. The ring of many colors. And I have a very nice movement holder here that I purchased just for this job. So I've got to take this movement and dump it out, flip it around, and then put it in the movement holder. So all I do here is I have a very high-end movement holder, a Valjoux. This is a 5395. It's gel filled. So I'll put that over the top of the watch, like so, and just turn the watch around. Let me back up just a bit so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Let me see if I can go right like that. There we go. There's the movement. So I want to just do this, and I'm hoping and praying, of course, and the movement should just drop right out. There we go. There is the movement, which is nice. And now I want to reinstall the stem on this movement before I take the hands and the face out. There we go. The stem has been reinstalled. The reason you take the rotor off first is so it doesn't damage anything. So, because it can damage things. So I should be able to, if this stem is all the way in, and it is, I should be able to set the hands. Or is it? I'm not quite sure. I think I can take the hands out in this position anyway, so you got to be very careful when you're removing the hands that you don't damage anything. And I've got extra wide hand removers. Sure what I'll use today. I have the narrow ones that I have that are good for removing hands, but I need a piece of plastic or this here, which is good, but I'll use a piece of plastic for the very small hands. I gotta be quiet now and just do the job. There's one hand. I'm going to pick that up in a second with a piece of Rotico. And the second hand, not the second's hand, the second hand, number 2. Don't like that sound. Okay, that's out. Seemed like it snapped a little bit, but might have just been stuck. So I'm going to put the hands here in the watch case. I think, yeah, now I want to get my bigger watch hand removers. And here they are. Let me see if I can just work this underneath the movement, or the face here. I got to really be careful that I've got on the side here, I've got the pivots for the seconds hand, and you want to stay away from those pivots because you could cause problems. I found that just using the edge of this usually works fairly well. That one snapped off, but everything's fine. This is a very snappy watch. These things were on good, right some good. And here are the hands. Put those back in. They're loomed. You gotta watch the pipes on those and all kinds of stuff. I don't want to be a hacker watchmaker here. So that's that. Now to take the face off, there's a small lever on the inside here that you have to flip out. So I may have to go off camera for a second to flip this lever out. So I think I may have to use a pin to do this. There is a special tool that you can purchase to flip those levers out, but to primarily work on pocket watches, I don't really want to procure another tool. And I have to figure out how to flip these out. I think they flip out from this side. No, maybe. Not sure. Yeah, there it is. Flip one out on one side, and then you can flip the other one out on the other side. I'm actually trying to prise it out, as the word goes. Let me see. May need a little more light here. I'm going to turn on my main light, which gives me a little bit more lighting to do work. Get this out of the way here. And what do we got here? Almost have it out. That's one side. Yeah, that looks like it's going to come out. Pardon me for touching the watch on the side with my fingers, but I'm going to get the other side now. There we go. Now the dial should just lift right up here. Alright, I'm a total idiot. Like I never forced the parts. There's one hand left. That's probably the reason why it wouldn't come out. It's not probably the reason, it is the reason why it wouldn't come out. There's a very small hand left here, and that is absolutely the reason the dial wouldn't lift. Look at that. Comes out like nobody's business once you remove that hand. So, total stupidity on my part. I totally apologize to all the watchmakers out there. So this chronograph does not have an inside ring. It just has the date. Doesn't have the, or the day. It doesn't have the date. So I can turn it to this side here and start stripping the components off the back side. So I'd really like to get this back in though before I do that. See if I can do this carefully. This is the first time I've used this movement holder, so I'm not sure how well it's going to work. I think I have the correct side for the movement holder. If I lay it down like this, is that going to stay in place? Not sure. I do need to press this down though, and I would like to get that the dial back in, or the crown and stem back in here. So I'm just going to hold it with one hand here while I press down on this and press down on this and see if I can do this. No, that's not going to work. Let me see. This should fit here. I don't think it's the other side, but you never know. No, I don't think it's this side. I think it's the other side. Well, this is why I do pocket watches, I guess. Let me just put these rings back in place here so they're not in the way. These are the retaining clips for the face on one side, and then on the other side they just fold in there like that. And I just want to rest this down here and be able to push down on this without having any major problems. Is that good there? I think so. Alright, that's steady in place now, so I can press down on this here and put this back in place. There we go. That's good. So now I've got the movement in its holder. Just want to look around the edges here to make sure there's nothing getting squished. I think we're good. So that's this movement in the holder. So this here is This just snugs the movement in place here, so like that. And these buttons allow you to use the various levers here on the watch. It's good for testing it later too. So now we've got this in place. All right, the first spring I need to remove on this watch. We've got to get. First thing you need to do is actually remove some of these springs, and the first spring here is the clutch spring, which should just come out like that. There we go. I need to remove some of my tools and put them back in their rightful home. So the next spring I need to remove here is the return hammer spring, and you need to pull it back like so, very carefully, and then ride it up like that. And then if you pull it inward slightly, it will remove itself from its fixings, which are here and here. There we go. This is called the return hammer spring. All right, the next step here is to remove the automatic bridge. I got to keep in mind on this side of the automatic bridge, right here, there's a post that goes all the way through, and I've got to be very careful that this post does not get interfered with, I guess. So let me see if I've got the right screwdriver to do this with. If you have a problem picking a screw up, you can use Rodico and just do this, and it'll pick that screw up without a problem. And when you're reversing the screws out, you can actually hear when the threads are through, so you know that your the screw can now be picked up without a problem. And the third screw in the bridge is over here. I just line that up. This screw is already loose, which is not a good thing, which means it was probably ready to fly out. Now, as I've heard from Mark's video on the watchfix.com course, that you got to be very careful when you're screwing screws in with this particular movement, because it will tend to the screws here can crack, so you got to be very careful when you're doing that. So just lift this up. There we go. There it is on the other side. There's that little post right there that could cause problems. And it goes like that. There we go. So to continue on with this movement, I'm going to remove the reversing wheel, which is this wheel here, and the reduction wheel, which is this wheel right here. I think I'll have to grab it from the there we go. There's a pinion on the other side of this wheel as well. Now I can just simply lift away the return hammer. Now I'll remove, this is a reversing wheel spring here, which really it doesn't get in the way, but I want to remove the clutch now, which should just lift up. Be very careful when I'm lifting this up that I don't. There's a very small wheel in here that you don't want to disturb. There we go. The clutch is out, or oot as they say. Now I'm going to remove the chronograph running wheel. It should come straight up unless it's jammed in here somehow. No, doesn't want to come out easy. I think I can remove this wheel first. Come straight up. Not sure why this wheel does not want to come out. It's acting up just a bit. Seems like there's something stopping it on the other side, which makes no sense at all. I'm going to have to look at the other side. Alright, when I try to pull the chronograph running wheel straight up through the movement here, it seems to get stuck somehow, and I'm not sure how this thing is getting stuck. It goes up to this level here, and it won't come out any further, so I'm not sure what is causing it to get stuck. There doesn't seem to be anything in the way. Odd, odd, odd. I'm going to have to go to Mr. Google to figure this one out, because that's nasty. I don't want to be forcing anything here, because you force the parts, you break things. So it's not what my intent is here today. But I am not sure why this running wheel won't come out. It may be the plastic, or the little plastic pipe that's on the bottom of the running wheel that's holding it in place that is causing it not to want to come out. No, that is odd. That is very odd. Don't know if I can continue without getting that running wheel out though. And again, there doesn't seem to be anything on the other side that's keeping it from moving. Maybe that's why the watch stopped. So I think there's a clip jammed in there somewhere. I may have to continue without taking the running wheel off right now, because I can remove a lot of this. Oh, and in case you're wondering, I took out the driving pinion already. I just dumped it out from its position in the watch. So that is out. Oot. So I'm going to proceed removing the lock first, and this is the lock here. And the first thing I need to do is get the spring from the lock, move it sideways a bit. I may need to do that with just tighten this up just a bit here. There we go. Move that out of the way. I got to get this watch in scene here. And the screw is tight, very tight. I'm being very careful here. I do not want to lose a screw head on this because it's going to be hell if I do. Hell if I do. So I've done another 7750 in the past for a friend, but it was quite a long time ago. There we go. So that is now out. Just going to keep pressing ahead here. I'm going to remove the operating lever. Let me just get an angle on the camera here so I can work and you can see, right? Serves both purposes. There we go. I think that's not too bad. So the operating lever is right here, and there's a single screw holding this in place. The screw's been in here for 1,000 years, I think. Again, you just don't want to break a screw. I'm paranoid about that. I also hear that people that work on watches, they get very paranoid about tightening the screws too much because it's you can break something when you're tightening. You can break the head off if you're tightening it too much. So let me just grab this and fuddle-duddling around here. There we go. I'm trying to match the parts up with the as well. So I'm going to flip the movement around here and start working on the dial side of the movement. There we go. So there is no day disc on this here, and if there was a day disc, this wheel here would be flipping the day disc. It's not because there is no day disc. There is a date disc, and this is the disc that flips it on here, so which is odd but true. So it's just the way it works, I guess. Alright, I need to remove this plate here first. I'm going to keep an eye on the pivots that are sticking out and pick the right size screwdriver for this job. And these screws are so small, I'm going to pick them up with Rodico. Now this one here, I have to make sure that this spring doesn't jump away. So I'm going to see if I can get a piece of pithwood or something I can hold this down with. So I took a piece of pegwood and I just sort of flattened the end. I do have another tool coming, but it's not going to arrive on time for me to do this, so I'm just going to I've got to get very close here to get this done properly. There we go. Jumper spring out. That was scary as heck. Now I just want to lift away the jumpers. There's a day and date jumper here, but there's no day, so I don't know whether it matters. There's just a date. I think this watch was specially made for this individual. So it was custom. So we're just gonna get in here and try to pry that up. Is it pry or prise? I'm not sure. I know it should come up. See, I'll try the Rotico here, because sometimes the Rotico just picks it up. Here we go. So you just pick it up with the Rotico and away you go. That works quite well. So I've got those out now. Let me just grab the larger cover plate here very carefully. Put that down, and now I believe I can slide this disc away from the smaller cover plate and out of position. Is that so, or do I want to take that off? It doesn't seem to want to come out this way, so I think the smarter thing to do would be just to remove the smaller cover plate. Now I'm going to remove the smaller cover plate. I can't seem to get the calendar wheel out, or the date wheel out without doing this first. I don't believe there's any springs in there that are going to surprise me. Again, I'm going to pick this up with a Rotico and then grab this plate in its entirety. There we go. There's the whole thing right there. Look at that. It's quite amazing. Amazing. These are the hands here. You got to very carefully avoid those hands. Very carefully avoid those hands. Okay, now I can grab this calendar wheel. Very carefully. Trying to keep all my wonderful parts together here. Now the next step here is to unscrew the platform. And I can see 1, 2, 3 screws there for the platform. So I think it uses my infamous red screwdriver. And you really can't pick these screws up unless you do it with a Rodico. Put that screw there. I've learned a long time ago to keep your elbows away from the screws because, oh, that's not good. That collapsed all the way through, which is not a good thing. Just have to make sure there isn't a bigger problem here. Nope. I don't like that though. Does that mean I had to snug it a bit harder? Let's try that again here. I remember working on pocket watches when something would fly out like that and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? Alright, that's 1, 2, and then the third one here. And after that that's the third screw here. And then I think the platform should lift right up. I'm hoping. Alright, there seemed to be a spring that kind of moved out of. You've got to be very careful because there's pivots that are sticking up, and you don't want these pivots to be ruined or anything as you lift this up. Be super duper careful here. I saw a spring go sideways and I'm curious about it. Alright, there's the platform there. And just lay this down here. Doesn't want to leave my tweezers. It likes my tweezers. And the spring I saw go sideways, I believe, was this spring here. Which I can just lift up and put over in the side. And now I can start stripping the parts from the watch from this side. I believe that the wheels should come straight up. If I was a smart guy, I'd take a picture of all this before I take it apart, right? But I'm just going to take a quick picture of this. Good thing is I've got Mark's video, so I can just simply watch his video and I should be fine. Should be absolutely fine. There we go. This is like the little tiny parts that are like a pocket watch, so I'm pretty familiar with these parts. They don't scare me as much as the other ones. This wheel is in there solid, which does scare me a little bit. That part is plastic, which is weird. Weird. Very weird. These just come right up. Now once the plate's up, these parts are pretty free to come out. And that cannon pinion just comes right straight up, which is nice. Now this is the little bugger that won't come out. I don't know why. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. This is here sticking on this end, and I don't know why this is just like that. I don't think it's a hand problem. Maybe it was. Not sure. Let me look at the hand here and see if there was any. No, it still has its little pipe. And that has its bigger one. And this is a seconds hand. Well, the seconds hand was like this on the top. Now the question is, was that a pipe on there that just came off, or what? It might have been. That would be very weird. Yeah, that would mean that if that's the case, then that has to be staked back on somehow. So I think the situation is this. If you look at this movement very carefully, see if that focuses. So right here, right there, I believe that's the pip for the second hand. So that when I was raising the hands up, this stayed in place, which is not good, and that's why I couldn't get that other gear to go down, right? It wouldn't go past a certain point. So I think I can use this tool here to pull that off. I'm hoping it works. If it doesn't, I'm in trouble. So let me just try this out. I gotta make sure I don't place it anywhere where it can be damaged. It's not going to pry out. I have to use my kung fu on this one. So the good news is I did get it out. Let me show you the size of this thing. This is the size of this. And I have to figure out how to install that back onto the second hand, which I can do, I think, with my staking set. But the second hand just got removed from it, so that is very, very odd. But this is an old watch. I don't think it's ever been cleaned. But you'll see now that this comes right out nicely. And then, let's get this out of the way here. And then this piece here, just moves out and aside. I'm just going to couple that up with the other piece there, and I need to flip this around again. I think I'm finished on this side. I believe I'm finished on this side. I don't like how stiff this is. This is maybe where the damage was on this watch with that plate that was drifting around. So yeah, well, I found that problem out, which is nice. So it turns out in order to get this component out, I actually have to pry it out, which I don't like, but I have to do it. So otherwise, There is no solution. Prying, I don't like prying, so, but I have to do it. So what I want to do here, though, is maybe put a little bit of Rodico in the top. And that's, if it decides to fly, this will stop it from doing that. Because when you're prying something off, there's always that chance of it flying. So this will keep it a little bit close. Now I think if I can get my levers underneath here, and you don't want to break the teeth on this. Yeah, I don't like this one at all. This is not fun. Oh, there we go. It actually came out pretty easy once I got the screwdrivers in there on both sides. Now, put that down right here. And we have a quick look at any, no damage. There's the pivot there. So we're good. That worked. Nice job, buddy. Nice job. Now I got to carefully turn this movement around, loosen that up. Very carefully turn that around. I don't like the fact the balance is still there, but that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You just put this in here again. Set that down nicely, and then squeeze her in. And the first thing I need to remove is the chronograph bridge, which is right here. It's secured by 2 screws. That's this bridge right here. And you can see why when people clean these, it costs a little small fortune, because it takes so long to clean this, or to strip it down properly without damaging anything, right? And like I said, I don't do watches very often. I do simple ones. I don't do chronographs very often. I've done a few, but not a lot. So these ones make me very nervous. Don't think I have to remove this screw. I'm not sure. Not quite sure. Now I have to remove this plate somehow, very carefully. And I got to make sure that it looks like this is a screw in the top, but I don't think it is. So again, I just pry that up a bit on this side and pry it up on the other side. Eventually it will come off. There we go. And that's off. I'm just going to move my components from left to right here, and now I can remove this wheel here. There we go. The spring will stay in place. That's the ratchet spring. And I want to make sure that the power is off of the mainspring. So now I'm going to lift away what's called the detent or detent. It should come straight up. Or will it? Will it? This should come straight up. Shouldn't be an issue at all. Let me see if I can get my screwdriver under here. So I have to remove this detent, it's called. And I think you just lift this straight up. I believe you lift it straight up. There we go. Got it out. There it is there. That's what it looks like. And there's a lot of gum around that. It looks like there's rust actually around that and corrosion, so that part will have to be very carefully worked on, I must say. Now, can I move this here out of the way so I want to get this cam off. Darn it. I know for a fact this cam is loose. I just keep my finger on top here and just shimmy this up. There, now the spring has got no tension on the cam. I should be able to take it off. There we go. There's the cam and the cam screw. And now this should just come right up. See, I gotta make it go that way and then up. There we go. Now what I don't know is if there's any power remaining on the mainspring. So I should be able to just move this out of the way a bit. And that should allow me to release any power on the mainspring. Yeah, there's a bit on there. Not a lot, but a bit. Just let that ride down like that. Now I'll remove the mainspring wheel. Got to get the right screwdriver in there or you'll strip it. There we go. Just add a little bit of tension. This screwdriver is magnetic, not good. It held that screw in place, which is not good. I think this lever, I should be able to just lift this lever straight up. Yes, no, other. Any suggestions from anybody out there in Watchland? Because I don't think anything's attaching this anymore. Not quite sure. A lot of dirt here. I can see a lot of dirt here. There. I'm telling you, just pull up with that Rodico and Rodico is man's best friends. Man's best friend. Now I can detach this here, I believe. The crown wheel. I'm trying to keep the screws and the wheels nicely grouped together so when I clean it, I don't have to go hunting for screws. I know you can eventually assemble it. So I put a bit of pressure on there first, and I don't want to, it just takes the Midas touch, I think, but a little bit of pressure on there, and you don't want to lose any of your screws. That'd be a nasty thing. So there's my, it's going to look at how that's put in there. So you got this and this, like that, and you can see the detent in there. So it's pretty obvious, but it's very similar to the old pocket watches, the way they were made. So there's not much difference. This thing's got a spring on it on the other side, I think. So I eventually need to remove the balance, don't I? Now for some reason I forgot to remove this spring here. This one right here. And I don't know why. I'm pretty sure I have to remove that. So I'm trying to pick the right screwdriver once again. I hope Bill can forgive me if I screw any of this up. But the good news is the darn watch wasn't working in the first place. Now the balance, which always makes me nervous. There's the balance there, and I should be able to just pick this up. Usually I remove it this way and then up and out. Just like that. I'm going to turn this upside down. Turn it upside down like that and just let it rest where the, there we go. Right where that screw was. You just get the balance in there. Next to the screw. Yeah, and I removed the plate earlier and I don't have the screws next to the plate. Stupid me. It's off to the side. You can't see what I'm doing right now. So the balance is out, which makes me very happy. And then I've got to remove the pallet fork, which is under here. Oh man, the screws are in so tight. Hercules must have assembled this watch. See, this one was loose. The other one was ridiculously tight. I'm going to be publishing this movie before this is the bridge for the pallet fork. So very carefully pry that off and then lift it up, straight up, because you do not want to damage the pivots of the pallet fork. The last thing I want to do is have to buy another pallet fork. There we go. That's the pallet fork. Tiny, tiny. Tiny Tim. Gentleman Jim. And I think I'm completely stripped here, with the exception of this plunger. Not sure why this plunger is still here. There might be a reason for it. So now I've got to take off the barrel bridge here. This is the barrel bridge. Say that 3 times. And there's 3 screws. I already loosened that screw up. I forgot to hit the record button when I did it, but I loosened that screw up. So that's 1. Put that way over here and out of the way. And then 2. This is actually loose, which I don't like. It's not good at all. And the 3rd one is over here. That is very loose as well, which is, like, again, very odd, but it's loose. And I don't like that either. So those are all loose. And this should just come right up now. I'm going to be very careful when I pry this up. Let me see what I want to do here. You want it to be loose, and if the movement's is old or dirty, it's been in this situation for a long time, which means it's not going to move out of place very easily because there's going to be dirt in there that's keeping it from doing that. There we go. Now it's loose, and you just stick a screwdriver under it and you pry it up. Now I should be able to lift it straight up. There we go. Done. There it is. I'll put that over where the screws are. I'm going to back out later so you can see the mess. Now I believe I can just start removing these wheels. I think these wheels will come straight out. I'll take a little picture first of my wonderful job. I take a picture in order to give me a record so I can, when I put this all back together, I can't complain about where things go. So again, this is like a pocket watch again. So again, for me, it's pretty easy. That was the first, second, and this is the 3rd wheel going down. And this is the 4th wheel, which should have a pivot on the other end. And it does. That's the fourth wheel pivot, so that's a seconds hand. And there's the escapement. Just gotta get in the light here for you guys. And the pivots look good on the escapement, which is good. And then the mainspring barrel should come right up. And there it is. There's the mainspring barrel. And that should be it here. I just need to, I think I just need to lift this out of place. So, I think so. I think I can. So this would go over here. I'll leave the works together. And I don't think I should be pulling that out. There's a little bit of dirt there, if you can see, right? I still haven't found the rogue component that was blocking everything. It might have been right here. So it might be stuck to a plate somewhere. I'm not sure. So I also have a very small spring to move here, right here. That's for the plunger there. So I think I can just lift this up and move it out of the way. And there it is. So I'll put that over there. Move this out of the way again. It's all good. So I removed this earlier, and this is the hacking bar. So I'm not sure if you saw me remove that. That's called a hacking bar, and that presses lightly against the balance to stop the watch from moving. It just stops the balance, what it does. So now I've got to turn the movement over so I can disassemble the keyless works. So let me just turn this over here, grab this, and turn it over. Not much left, folks, not much left. I know the suspense is killing you. So now I've got to remove the plate, and there's the intermediate setting wheel. See if I can get a better picture here from you guys. It's much better without the light, but it's not good for me. So, but the intermediate setting wheel is right here. So I need to get my screwdriver in there nicely. Well, I really wish I had Mark's course years ago when I was working on watches, and I think I did a Valjoux 7750 for my friend Jim Hardwick, and I took like 1 million pictures to reassemble the thing. I got it running again, but it was so hard. I think I had to replace the blade on that screwdriver. I don't like it. So now theoretically, this should come out at the same time as one unit. There we go. Just like that. And that exposes this here, which I think should come straight up. Oh, just hang on a second. Hang on 1 second. Now I have to remove the setting wheel, which is right here. I need a little bit of light. There we go. It should just lift straight up. Sometimes these wheels don't want to go anywhere when they're old and dirty. It's just like me. There we go. Got it. Well, it went somewhere. There it is. That's the setting wheel, and then this bar is under tension, but I can lift that straight up, I believe. Again, it might be a little bit gummed up from years of... There we go. It's oot. It's oot. And then this bar can come straight up as well. Be very careful. Be very, very careful hunting rabbits. I'm not sure if this bar can come straight up or not. Perhaps. Perhaps I should use the correct name for it instead of the bar. The bar. The bar. The bears. The bearer of bad news. I don't know if this bar comes up. I think it does. It's just stubborn, that's all. There we go. It's coming up now. And done. Look at that. Let me leave this spring in place, and this spring stays in place. I don't need to remove that. The clips are good. This clip is good. And now all I think I need to do is pull this out, which means I may have to loosen this just a bit. There we go. And then that falls out. I'll put this over with the rest of the stuff. And I believe, ladies and gentlemen, and friends of the family, I believe I am done stripping this watch down. That was a hell of a job. So the only problem was that second-hand pip needs to be reinstalled on the second hand, or I need to buy another second hand for a Valjoux $27.50. But you know what? I'm looking at this watch right now, and this is for Bill. Remember Bill? I said there was something wrong here. It's not working really well. Something's jammed in there. Something was right here. I can see the ghost of Aunt Pinuni right here. You can see that there was a lever jammed right in there, and that was fouling this, which was fouling other things. So I need to see if I can find that somewhere, because when I strip the watch down, it has to have fallen out somewhere, and I can't quite see it. So I wonder where it is. There's the beautiful face of this watch right there. It's a very nice face on this watch. Gorgeous. And the rotor is here. I've got some of the parts out there, but the part I know that I'm missing somewhere is this part right here. One of those decided to take a trip, and I'm not sure where the hell it is. Somewhere maybe in the case. You have a look here in the watch case and see if there's anything in there. I don't see anything in there, because that's where it would have been. It would have landed in here somewhere maybe and found its way around. And if you can see, look at all the gum in there. As part of cleaning, I've got to see that gum in there? That's not good at all. So I've got to get the seal out, and I've got to clean the watch with the seal out. Also, if you look at that, these are in pretty iffy condition. Yeah, it looks like they unscrew from this side as well. So the pushers look like they unscrew from this side, and then there's a spring on the other side. So there's case work to be done as well, and you can see how dirty and filthy this watch is. It's a nice watch, but I think I can put the glamour back in it and buff this thing back up, and you can see how rough that looks, right? So Bill's been flying F-18s with this watch on, I think, or something. There's the case back. Oh, look, I found it. I have found it. So if you look very carefully, right underneath this ring, right there is the guilty party that was floating around the watch, causing all kinds of issues. There it is there, underneath the pressure ring for the case back. So you can put that there, take the ring off. There's the ring. Let's remember how that goes. Got a little bunch of little bumps, so shouldn't be too hard to remember. So I'll just throw that into the watch case here. There's the ring, so I can polish the back of this, have a good look at that. I'll take a photo and see what, get a little bit of a before and after with the polishing and see how that works. So that's a tag. So I want to throw these things though in the ultrasonic cleaner, and this is going to be super dirty as well, right? So that is going to warrant ultrasonic cleaning. Look at the gum in there. Super duper dirty. Yucky McYucky pants. Let's move that over there. So that's it. The watch is completely stripped down. Just put that there. And let's have a look. I'll back this up and we'll take a quick picture. All right, there it is. There is the watch, and it is in pieces. Pieces to pieces. There we go. That's not a bad shot there. Looking good. There's the watch in a million pieces. And it did take a while to take this thing apart. So it was almost 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours to take this apart properly. So again, the only problem I had was that very small pip on the second hand wanted to stay on the pivot for the center wheel. So that I've got to punch that back on somehow. I'm going to do that later. But today is Sunday, so this is all I'm going to do for today. I think I'll containerize this stuff so I don't lose any of it. And I'll worry about cleaning this a little bit later. Hey there, JD back. What an afternoon. What an afternoon. So here's the result here. I've got this watch completely disassembled, as you saw, in a million pieces. I put it into a container here, and as I put it into the container, I flicked the damn container, and some parts from the top bin jumped into the second bin. So I'm going to be very careful putting this back together to make sure I've got the right screws in the right place. So that's it. I think I'm done with this for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a long one, but here we're back. We're back, and we're fixing watches, and we're doing fun stuff. If you need me to fix your pocket watch, just get a hold of me. I'm at jdwatchservice@gmail.com. Right there, jdwatchservice@gmail.com, and I'll do my best. Thank you very much, and I'll see you later, and have a good day.